5 reasons to study sociology at A-level. Reason number 1, outstanding exam results. 2010, Rydens Sociology achieved 83% A star to B. For comparison, Rydens Sixth Form achieved an average of 51% A star to B. Sociology A-level at Esher College achieved 43% A star to B. That puts Rydens Sociology in the top 11% of departments in the country. Reason 2, interesting topics. Topic number 1, culture and identity. This asks questions such as, what is normal? Why do people behave the way they do? How is society constructed? Is it mostly about conflict or is it mostly about cooperation? Who has the power and how do they use it? Unit 2, education and young people. This explores questions such as, what's the point of schools? What's the point of the education system? Why do some groups succeed and why do some groups fail? What are the problems facing young people in today's society? Unit 3, crime and deviance. This asks questions such as, why do people commit crime? Which groups are more likely to commit crime and why? Which groups are more likely to be victims and why? What's the point of the police? What's the point of prison? Lastly, a choice between the media and sociology of religion. Media looks at how powerful the media is, who controls the media, how does it influence us. Sociology of religion asks, why are people religious? Why is religion in decline in the UK? Is religion in decline in the UK? Why do people join cults? Why do people join sects? Reason 3, understanding why things work. Now, sociology is often said to be a process which translates private troubles into public issues. So let's take 3 private troubles. Let's talk about a guy called Bill. Okay? To start with, Bill is unemployed. So, one way of looking at that would say, well, Bill's not a smart guy, Bill, doesn't have the skills, maybe Bill is unreliable, focusing on problems to do with Bill. Another way of looking at it would be, well, why is it we need less labour in our society? Perhaps we're automating more. Perhaps Bill's job has ceased to be done in the UK. Perhaps it's being done in China or other places in the world. Perhaps we're going through an economic recession, which means that Bill's company has gone bust, and so everybody at Bill's workplace has become unemployed. Another problem. Bill was domestically violent. He hits his wife, say. Now, one explanation is, well, Bill's unemployed, that's making him very unhappy. Another thing would be looking at, well, perhaps Bill has lost status and perhaps he needs to, use his physical power to gain more status. Why in Bill's culture is it acceptable for him to go and be violent towards women? Why is it that we don't deal with domestic violence in our culture effectively? Our last question, depression. Well, once again, let's take this guy Bill. Now, some people would suggest that depression is a very individual thing, perhaps to do with their genetics, but our society has far higher rates of depression than some in other parts of the world, including comparisons with countries which are a lot poorer than our own. And in fact, mental illness has been on the increase. Now, one way of looking at that is perhaps we're diagnosing mental illness better. Another way of looking at it is perhaps our society makes people more alone. Maybe our society is riskier and more unstable, and that produces a lot of stress for individuals. Reason number 4, sociology is respected by universities. Now, sociology is a hard academic subject. All universities will accept it as long as it's appropriate for the course you're doing. Now, that's not true of all subjects. Not all subjects are created equal, and there are blacklists which some of the top universities have released, and you'll find that sociology is not on that. Lastly, sociology is useful in lots of jobs. Starting, it's useful in law, policing and probation work. It's useful in politics, government and journalism. It's useful in market research, advertising and PR. It's useful in medicine, social care, occupational therapy and social work. It's useful in youth work, international development and charity work. Want to know more? Log on to mrthurkle.com or look at some of my other YouTube videos. In particular, what questions do sociologists ask?